But lads, I think, as we've said before, and we've said it with tongue in cheek and jokingly about Gatland and stuff like that. I think the question now has to be asked: how bad is this for Warren Gatland? Like, how much worse does this have to get before his job security is actually genuinely on the line?
I think this is a kind of moment where his ridiculous contract is going to probably come in handy for him, because like you do have to remember that before COVID, I think their record was 4-2 or something like that, or they were winning. They had won a few games. And I think they had one or two big wins even. I think they might have beat the Crusaders at one point. So you have to give him credit for those wins. Those wins still matter in terms of his career, not in terms of the Super Rugby Arturo League. But yeah, a couple of months away now with the Lions, could take the heat off him. But again, I said it before, like it's obviously going to take a year or two for a system to come into play. So like that third year back could now just be ridiculous. Like I don't understand it, to be perfectly honest. Like there are other people who can coach the Lions. I don't know how Chiefs agreed to this ridiculous setup. And I don't know. I think, yeah, okay, it gives Gatland an out now, but this could make everything worse.
Yeah, see, I think what it does really is, like, because I don't think he's under pressure at all. Like, realistically, I think that this Super Rugby Aotearoa thing, it's turning into an unbelievable spectacle for all of us to watch rugby. But I don't think any of them envisaged it actually being that important, because it's a 5-team internal league. I think the fact that it's the only thing on, it's getting a lot of praise and stuff, and because the shit show that is their actual league is all over the place and no one knows what's going to happen with it. So I don't think that this is overly important in terms of like his career. Wes was saying, like, he's, it's going to take a year or two to come into it and to get his systems in place. But I also don't think, like, from looking at it with the Lions thing, like the Lions thing was probably agreed before the Chiefs thing was agreed. It definitely was, sorry. But I think that, the Chiefs' decision, I think, was more probably pressure from New Zealand trying to get him back into the system with an eyes on eventually coaching the national team in some regard. So, him just being in the system works for them. He might end up becoming, in this year off, there might be a change to the entire structure, and he might become like, Chiefs director of rugby over a coach, or, Chiefs coach under a director of rugby. Like, that could all happen in the next year. They don't know where the league is going to be at next year. There's talk, I read earlier, that they're still pushing for, an ANZAC, Australia, New Zealand kind of coalition with South Africa completely out the way, and trying to offload, like, trying to pull in one, but offload Japan and Argentina as well. So until that's decided, he's very, very secure in his job, because, there's no job there really. Like, he's doing this Super Rugby Aotearoa thing because it was a great workaround that they could introduce, because their country were so much more competent than everyone else in terms of dealing with COVID. But if their country was like any other country in the world and hadn't been that competent, there would be literally no league right now, and his career would have been judged on how well he was doing in the actual league that he had been planning for from his preseason onwards.
And just checked, they actually did beat the Crusaders 25-15. Sorry, Sam, go on.
Yeah, so like that's what he had planned for. He had tried to start introducing a system with a long-term plan, and then has been thrown this complete curveball, and it's worked for some coaches. It's not worked for him, but I don't think he can be really held that accountable for it. It's such a fucking.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's at the moment, it's literally the worst case scenario for everyone involved. It's bad for him because it's ruining his, not ruining, but it's definitely putting a dampener on his legacy as a coach. You know what I mean? Because he's been brilliant with Wales. His Lions record is, impeccable nearly. Do you know what I mean? He's won one, lost one, drawn one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has, which for our Lions coach is very impressive. I just wanted to clarify, we're not saying he's a bad coach by any means, but it's just, the Chiefs are obviously not benefiting from this at all, because they're 0-5 with a negative 27-point differential between, all their games. It doesn't, like, that could have been the game to be like, all right, look at, we beat these boys pretty well. Let's, try and progress from here now. That was, as a team, one of the worst losses you could have from being so far up. That's going to be very tough to recover from mentally, for next week. Do you know what I mean? Or I don't think they're playing next week, are they? No, they are. They're playing the Blues. So that's going to be 0-6.
But I don't think that this collapse can fall on Gatland. I think like the team just fell apart. Mistakes were being made individually. I think that they're just so fucking devoid of any confidence. Like, they were up. They were up by what was it, 31-7 at one stage.
Yeah.
The team was playing well and playing that, and then they just completely fell apart on the pitch. And Gatland's not on the pitch. Those players are very, very answerable.
Sports, it always comes back to the coach, and and I know it's not fully, but it's always there. He's the leader. He's the talisman up, as the leader of the team. He has to take some brunt of this.
Yeah, he's going to take a bit of brunt, but I just don't think that he could take the brunt for that. Like, I think that this Super Rugby Aotearoa League is so out of the blue for him, out of nowhere, that it's so hard to introduce anything. Like, if he has a long-term plan that has included what was supposed to be this Super Rugby season, next season they definitely have a plan in place for what was going to happen. He wasn't going to leave it vacant. There was a long-term plan that included that, and this is throwing it all in the works. Like, it's a big, massive spanner in the works. I think falling apart on the pitch the way they did you can't blame him for that.
I don't know. If you're planning long-term, don't take the Lions gig. I know that's obviously very not hard not to do with the Lions, but if it's very tough to do that and then feck off for a year. I'm not feck off. He's going to do the Lions, but you know what I mean. It's not.
But that's what I mean with his long-term planning. Like, he definitely got a plan in place that included.
Yeah, but it's not the same though. It's not. It's not going to be the same. I don't know.
You don't know how that's going to be though. Like, you don't know if he has a plan in place that includes a good number 2 that's coming in and doing exactly what he wants, building from there. Like, that's all definitely planned out already. And this has just thrown that completely because they don't know what their league looks like next year. So that's going to be a whole other thing of plan, like a whole other plan to come up with that.
Yeah. What do you think, Westy?
I think, like, it's worth mentioning. We mentioned before that, like, Chiefs were having a hard time scoring. Like, they're having a hard time scoring tries. And you can look at it all you want. You can say, Jesus, they scored 4 tries in 50 minutes. But then they went half an hour without putting a single point on top of that. And I think that is a player issue. And I think the funny thing, that I see in the media is a lot of this is coming down on Sam Cane. And I have to say, I agree with a lot of it. Like, I don't think he's been impressive since he got back. Now, the criticism I'm seeing is whether he's up to the task of being New Zealand captain. And that's a different story, right? It is a completely different story because it's a different setup. But for a lovely offload for, I think it was Bashir's try.
Yeah.
Like, he literally, like, he's warned. He's told, at one point he's told, if there's one more infringement at the breakdown, someone's going off. And he says, yeah, and goes and talks to his players. And then he infringes the breakdown and gets sent off. Like, it's, I think Sam makes a point that, like, you can blame Gatland if you want. They have systems that aren't working. They obviously changed something this week, and, like, it imploded on the pitch.
Yeah, true. It's definitely, it's just a tough time to be a Chiefs fan. It's a tough time to be, in any way involved with Chiefs. But I'm sure they will turn around. But as I said, they're traveling to play the Blues this week away from home. I don't think it's going to be this weekend personally. But again, we'll see. With the Blues are on a two game losing streak too.